Hey, my name is Ethan. I'm 32. For 3 months, I worked as a concierge in a luxury high-rise, pushing a wheelchair through marble hallways that smelled like jasmine and bergamot perfume. The woman in that chair was 44, married, a surgeon who couldn't walk anymore. And one night in a quiet lobby, she looked up at me and said, "You don't have to push me around forever." I didn't think, just answered, "What if I want to?" That's when everything changed. If you're watching this right now, tell me where you're from in the comments. Because I still don't know if what we did was wrong. I didn't know what trouble looked like until I pushed her wheelchair into an elevator and the doors opened on her husband. That was 3 months in. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name's Ethan Cole. I'm 32. White guy, average height, the kind of face you forget 5 minutes after I help you with your groceries. I work as a concierge in a luxury high-rise downtown. Marble lobby, cameras everywhere, residents who make more in a week than I'll see all year. I took the job because my mom's in a nursing home upstate, and the bills don't stop. I had medical debt from her earlier hospitalizations. I needed something steady, something with housing included. The building gave me a tiny staff room off the service hallway. Bed, sink, hot plate. Closet-sized, but mine. My first day, Luis trained me. Luis was 35, Latino, night shift guy with an easy smile and street-smart eyes. He showed me the desk, the resident list, the camera feeds in the back room. "Keep your head down," he said. "Be helpful but invisible. Rich people love service. They hate seeing the person doing it." The building manager, Mr. Patel, gave me the speech about professional distance. No fraternizing. Everything on camera. I'd had one complaint at my last job for being too friendly with a resident who thought I was flirting when I helped her move furniture. I wasn't, but perception mattered more than truth. So I learned the rules. Smile, nod, call everyone sir or ma'am, stay in your lane. That first night, around 8, I was sorting mail when a man walked into the lobby. Late 40s, black, expensive suit, the kind that costs more than my car used to. Sharp jaw, cold eyes, wedding ring that caught the light. He glanced at me the way you'd glance at a lamp. Functional. Forgettable. Luis leaned over. "That's Marcus Ellis, penthouse, big shot attorney. Don't mess with him." Marcus checked his phone and left without a word. I went back to sorting. An hour later, Marcus came back. This time he stopped at the desk. "You're new," he said. Not a question. "Yes, sir, first day." "Name?" "Ethan Cole." He studied me for a few seconds. "You have any caregiving experience?" I blinked. I took care of my mom before she went into the facility. Helped her with mobility stuff." "Why?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "My wife had an accident a few months ago. Car. Crash. She's in a wheelchair now, still adjusting. I don't want a rotating team of strangers in the penthouse. Too many people, too much gossip." He pulled out his wallet, slid $200 bills across the desk. "If she calls down, you handle it. Mail runs, errands, wheelchair assistance. Keep it discreet. No stories, no chatter. Understood?" I looked at the cash. 200 bought a week of groceries and a phone call to the nursing home without panicking. "Understood." He wrote a number on the back of his business card. "That's the penthouse line. She'll call when she needs something." Then he left. Luis whistled low. "Man just bought you. Welcome to the rich people game." I pocketed the cash and didn't argue. The call came 3 hours later, just before midnight. A woman's voice. Controlled, a little cold. "This is Dr. Ellis. Marcus said you'd be available if I needed assistance." "Yes, ma'am. What can I do for you?" Pause, like she was deciding whether to trust me. "I need tea, and a blanket from the supply closet. The nurse left early and I'm cold." "I'll be right up." I grabbed a tray, made chamomile tea in the little lobby kitchenette, pulled a soft blanket from the staff supply room. The elevator ride to the penthouse felt longer than it should have. The door opened before I knocked. A private nurse stood there, 50s, annoyed expression. "You're the concierge?" "Yes, ma'am." She stepped aside. The penthouse was massive, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, white furniture, tasteful art, everything clean and cold and expensive. And there, near the balcony doors, was Dr. Monique Ellis. First thing I noticed was her face. 44, black, beautiful in a way that didn't need makeup or effort. High cheekbones, dark eyes, hair pulled back in a loose bun. She wore gray loungewear, legs covered with a thin throw blanket. The wheelchair sat next to her like a verdict. She didn't look at me right away. "Dr. Ellis," the nurse said too loud, "the concierge brought your tea." Monique's eyes flicked to me, measuring, guarded. "Thank you." I set the tray on the side table. The nurse sighed. "Marcus wants you to take her to the balcony for air while I organize her medication. Can you manage that?" Monique's jaw tightened. "I'm right here. You can ask me." The nurse ignored her. "Well?" I looked at Monique. "Would you like to go outside, ma'am?" She hesitated, then nodded once. I moved behind the wheelchair. The handles were smooth, slightly tacky leather. I'd pushed my mom's chair 100 times, but this felt different, heavier, more fragile. I rolled her through the apartment slowly. She didn't speak. Neither did I. The balcony was cold, city lights spreading out like scattered stars. I positioned her near the railing, locked the wheels, stepped back. She pulled the blanket higher, hiding her legs. We stood there in silence. Wind tugged at her hair. "You don't have to stay," she said finally. "I don't mind." Another pause. "Marcus said you took care of your mother." "Yeah." "Is she?" "Nursing home, upstate, dementia." Monique nodded slowly. "I'm sorry." "Thanks." More silence. Then the nurse called from inside. Monique's shoulders tensed. "She talks to me like I'm 5, Monique said quietly. I unlocked the wheels. "Some people forget you're still a person when you're sitting down." Her eyes snapped to mine. Sharp. Surprised. I wheeled her back inside without another word. The next morning I called my mom's facility. She didn't remember me on the phone, but the nurse said she'd smiled when I mentioned my name. Small victories. Luis found me in the break room. "So, how'd it go with the penthouse queen?" "Fine." "She nice?" "She's guarded." Luis laughed. "Man, they're all guarded up there. You think she got rich by trusting people?" He wasn't wrong. That afternoon, Mrs. Klein stopped by the desk. Late 60s, white retired teacher. Sweet smile, sharp eyes. She handed me cookies in a tin. "For the new concierge," she said, "I like to know who's taking care of the building." "Thank you, ma'am." "I saw you went up to the penthouse last night." She said it casually. Too casually. I kept my face neutral. Dr. Ellis needed assistance. Such a tragedy, that accident. She used to run every morning, 5 a.m., like clockwork. Now. Mrs. Klein shook her head. "Well, I'm sure you'll take good care of her." She left. Luis caught my eye from across the lobby and mouthed, "She's watching you." I believed him. 2 days passed. I helped other residents, signed for packages, called cabs, kept my head down. Then, late on the third night, the penthouse line rang again. "It's Dr. Ellis. My nurse left early. I need help getting my mail." "I'll be right there." This time she was already in her wheelchair when the elevator opened. No nurse, just her, waiting in the hallway, hands folded in her lap. "I can manage the elevator myself," she said. The mailboxes are low. I can't reach." No problem. We rode down in silence. In the lobby, I opened her mailbox, handed her the stack. Bills, magazines, a few envelopes with medical logos. She flipped through them, frowning. My back hurts, she said quietly. Sitting all day, everything stiffens up. I thought for a second. You want to walk the lobby? Just circles. Might help loosen things. She looked at me like I'd suggested something radical. Walk? I'll push you. Slowly. Just movement. She considered it. Then nodded. So we walked. Big, slow circles around the marble lobby, past the empty cafe kiosk, the dark windows reflecting rain starting outside. She started talking. Little things at first, her surgical practice, morning routines she used to have, coffee she missed making herself. I listened. After the third lap, she said, "You don't talk much, do you?" Didn't think you wanted conversation. Thought you just wanted to move. A small smile. The first I'd seen. Smart. We made another lap. The rain picked up, streaking the glass. Near the end, she said, "You don't have to push me around forever, you know." I didn't think, just answered. "What if I want to?" The words hung there. She looked up at me. Really looked. Not at a concierge. At me. "You should be careful saying things like that," she said softly. Probably. Neither of us moved for a long moment. Then the elevator dinged. Someone stepping out on another floor, nowhere near us. But the sound broke the spell. She cleared her throat. "I should get back." "Yeah." I pushed her to the elevator. She didn't say anything else until the doors started closing. "Thank you, Ethan." First time she'd used my name. The next day, Marcus came through the lobby mid-morning. Suit, briefcase, phone pressed to his ear. He glanced at me, paused his call. "Everything going smoothly with Monique?" "Yes, sir." "Good." He studied me. "She requested you specifically, you know." I blinked. "Sir?" "There was a fire drill last week, before you officially started. You were here for orientation, helped an elderly resident down the stairs. She saw it on the cameras. Told me she wanted you assigned to her." He said it like he was testing me, seeing if I'd be flattered or careful. I stayed neutral. "I'm happy to help however she needs." Marcus nodded slowly, then left. I stood there, replaying the fire drill. I barely remembered it. Just an old man, shaky legs, me offering an arm. Standard stuff. But Monique had watched. Monique had chosen me. That afternoon, she called again. Wanted help to the rooftop garden. I met her at the penthouse elevator. She wore a soft green scarf today, silk, the ends brushing the armrests. We rode up in silence. The rooftop was empty except for the wind and a few potted trees. I positioned her near the railing. City stretched out below us. "I saw you help that man during the fire drill," she said. "You didn't rush him. Didn't make him feel weak." "No point in that. Most people do. They rush me, finish my sentences, treat me like I'm broken." "You're not broken. You're sitting." She laughed, small, surprised. "Is that what you tell yourself about your mother?" "Every day." The wind pulled at her scarf. I reached out without thinking, adjusted it so it wouldn't blow off. My hand brushed her shoulder. We both froze. "Sorry," I said. "Don't be." Her eyes held mine for 3 long seconds, then she looked away. "We should go back." "Yeah." But neither of us moved. Not yet. 2 days later, Tanya showed up, Monique's younger sister, 41. Black, direct eyes, no-nonsense energy. She walked into the lobby with a weekend bag and a look that said she didn't trust easily. "You Ethan?" "Yes, ma'am." "Tanya Reed, Monique's sister." We shook hands. She studied me the whole elevator ride up. "Monique says you're less annoying. Then the nurse... I try. She also says you listen. I didn't answer. Don't make her think you're more than you are, Tanya said quietly. She's been through enough. The elevator dinged. I'm just here to help, I said. Tanya's eyes softened slightly. Good. Keep it that way. That weekend, I saw Tanya twice more, once bringing groceries up, once when Monique called for a ride to the lobby so Tanya could meet her there. Each time, Tanya watched me. On Sunday night, as she left to stay with a friend before heading home, she stopped at the desk. My sister doesn't let just anyone push her chair, you know. I'm honored. You should be careful. Everyone keeps saying that. Tanya almost smiled. Maybe you should listen. She left. I sat there under the glow of the security monitors, thinking about warnings and choices and the way Monique said my name. The next evening, Louis showed me the camera room, monitors everywhere. Lobby, hallways, elevators, rooftop, pool. You can see everything from here, he said. Management watches sometimes. Mrs. Klein has a feed on her TV. She loves it. My stomach dropped. She watches the building on TV? Yeah, man. The seniors have a channel. Makes them feel safe. I stared at the screens. There, on monitor 4, was a recording from yesterday. Me pushing Monique through the hallway. Me adjusting her scarf. Both of us laughing. Everything's on camera, Louis said. Remember that. That night, Mrs. Klein stopped by with more cookies. I see you've become quite devoted to Dr. Ellis, she said sweetly. It's lovely, but dangerous, dear. Dangerous? People talk. Cameras see. You're a kind young man. Just be smart. She left. I looked up at the camera above the desk. Red light steady. Later, when Monique called for a mail run, I was hyper-aware of every move, every word, every camera angle. In the hallway outside her penthouse, she noticed. You're acting strange. Just careful. Of what? Cameras, people watching. Her face shifted, understanding. Then something sadder. We're always performing, she said quietly. Aren't we? The elevator dinged somewhere down the hall. Yeah, I said. We are. We stood there, the camera humming softly above us. She looked up at it, then at me. Some performances feel more real than others, she said. Then she wheeled herself inside. And I stood in that hallway, knowing everything had just changed. The next morning, I opened the cafe kiosk early. A finance bro came in, snapped at me for getting his oat milk wrong, called me just the help. I was fixing it when the lobby door opened. Monique wheeled in alone, struggling slightly with the door lip. I rushed over. The finance guy kept complaining. Monique rolled past him, stopped at the counter, looked him dead in the eye. No one in this building runs without the help, she said calmly. Maybe learn some respect. The guy left, embarrassed. Monique ordered her coffee. Oat milk, 1 pump vanilla, extra hot. Overtipped me $30. Thank you, I said. Thank you. We looked at each other. Want to sit? She asked. I glanced at my manager's office. He wasn't watching. Yeah. We sat in the lobby seating area, talked for 20 minutes, about class, about being underestimated, about debt and pride and how money makes people forget you're human. She told me about working 3 jobs in med school. I told her about dropping out of a course to pay for my mom's care. When another resident walked by, we both straightened, putting distance between us without moving. Guess we're back to performing, I said. Guess so. I wheeled her to the elevator. As the doors closed, she said, You treat me like a person, Ethan, not glass. The doors shut before I could answer, but I felt it in my chest for hours. 2 evenings later, she called about the pool. Is it open? Officially, no, but I can make it happen. Silence. Then, I hate going when people stare. No one will stare. I'll make sure. 20 minutes later, I met her at the pool entrance. She wore leggings and an oversized shirt, arms wrapped around herself like armor. The pool room was dim. Chlorine smell. Echoing quiet. I helped her transfer from the chair to the edge. She was shaking. "I'm fine," she said. The chair caught on the mat, tilted. I dropped to my knees, hands on her calves, steadying her. "Breathe," I said. "I've got you." She looked down at me, eyes wide, scared, trusting. Her forehead dropped to mine, just for a few seconds. Both of us breathing hard. No kissing, no words, just shared air and hands gripping forearms. When she finally slid into the water, I sat on the edge, pant legs damp, heart pounding. "You're the only one who doesn't make me feel broken," she said from the water. I didn't answer. I didn't know how. That night, alone at the desk, my phone buzzed. A text through the building app. From the penthouse. A photo of rain on glass. Caption, "Same view up here. You still on?" I stared at it for too long. Then typed back, "Yeah, I'm here." Over the next 3 nights, we traded messages, songs, jokes, small pieces of ourselves we shouldn't have been sharing. Nothing explicit. Nothing that would look bad if someone read it. But the frequency was intimate. Luis caught me once. "You texting the penthouse again?" "She can't sleep." "Man, neither can you, apparently." He wasn't wrong. One night, 1:43 a.m., the app lit up. "Can't sleep. You hear the storm too?" I looked out at the rain streaking the lobby windows. "Yeah, I'm here." I imagined her in the penthouse. Same rain, same insomnia, same song playing, and I knew we were in trouble. Both of us. 4 days later, on a rare sunny Saturday, Monique called to ask if the rooftop was crowded. I checked the cameras. Just an older couple and a teenager taking selfies. "Pretty empty," I said. "Can you take me up?" "Of course." I met her at the penthouse. She wore the green scarf again. Lighter clothes, sunglasses perched in her hair. Almost relaxed. On the rooftop, I positioned her in a quiet corner near the garden beds. The older couple left after a few minutes. The teenager wandered to the other side. We were alone. Sort of. "Tell me something real," she said. "About what?" "About you. Not concierge you. Real you." I sat on the bench next to her chair. "I feel stuck, like I'm living in the lobby of other people's lives, watching them come and go, never going anywhere myself." She nodded slowly. "I used to run at 5 a.m. every morning, surgery by 7. I was always moving, always doing. Now..." She gestured at the chair. "Now I just sit, and everyone treats me like I'm already gone. You're not gone. Sometimes it feels like I am." We sat in the sun, talked about her surgeries, her patients, her sister. I told her about my mom, about being a furniture mover, about dreams I'd put away. We laughed about Marcus's tie obsession, about Mrs. Klein's nosiness, about an influencer resident who staged candid photos in the lobby. It was the happiest I'd seen her. The happiest I'd felt in years. When we finally headed back, I didn't see Mrs. Klein watching from the stairwell door, but the cameras did. That evening, I was finishing a split shift when the penthouse called again. Monique needed to meet Tanya in the lobby. Tanya was running late. I wheeled her down. We waited in the quiet hallway outside the penthouse. "Everyone treats me like a project," she said suddenly. "Something to fix, or pity, or manage. I don't see you that way. What do you see?" I met her eyes. "Someone who's still here, still fighting, still sharp as hell." She looked at me for a long time. "Why did you take this job?" she asked. "My mom. Medical debt. I needed something stable." "You gave up school?" "Community college. Business courses. Couldn't afford both. Her expression softened. That's not fair. Life's not fair. You know that better than anyone. She nodded, looked down at her hands. Tanya texted. Still 20 minutes out. We stood there. The hallway so quiet I could hear her breathing. Ethan. Yeah? Thank you. For treating me like I'm still... me. Something in my chest cracked open. I leaned down. Didn't think. Didn't plan. Kissed her forehead. Soft. Barely a second. My hand on the back of her chair. Her eyes closed. Both of us frozen. When I pulled back, reality crashed in. The camera at the end of the hall. The red light steady. You should go, she whispered. I stepped back, walked to the elevator. Didn't look at her again. Behind me, I heard her chair wheels turning, the door closing. I rode down alone, knowing I'd just crossed a line we couldn't uncross. The next morning, my manager called me into the back office. My stomach dropped. Marcus Ellis wants to see you. 10 minutes later, Marcus walked in. Suit sharp, jaw tight, phone in hand. He turned the screen toward me, a screenshot, hallway camera, me leaning over Monique in her chair, angle ambiguous but clearly intimate. Someone sent this to me, Marcus said, voice cold. Someone helpful. I said nothing. Your staff. She's my wife, a vulnerable patient. You crossed a line. It wasn't, I don't care what it was. You're reassigned. No more penthouse calls, no more personal assistance. If I see you near her again, you're fired. Understood? I looked at my manager. He nodded nervously. Understood, I said. Marcus left without another word. My manager sighed. Ethan, I like you, but you can't. You just can't. I know. Does she know about this meeting? I don't think so. Keep it professional from now on, for everyone's sake. I walked out, stood in the lobby, looked up at the cameras, every kind gesture, every soft moment, every laugh, all recorded, all evidence. I felt sick. That afternoon, the penthouse called. Luis answered. I heard him say, Ethan's not available, I can send someone else. Pause. Yes, ma'am, I understand. He hung up. Looked at me. She asked for you specifically. Sounded surprised. What did you tell her? That you're reassigned. I nodded. Turned away before he could see my face. Over the next 4 days, I watched Monique from a distance. A new private nurse pushed her through the lobby. Too fast. Too rough. Monique didn't look at the desk when she passed. I worked extra tasks. Parking validation, deliveries, anything to avoid her floor. On the 4th night, I was wiping down the front desk when the lobby door opened. Monique's wheelchair appeared outside the glass. The nurse moved to open it. For half a second, Monique looked toward the desk. Our eyes met. Then she looked away. The door closed. I stood there, rag in hand, feeling like a ghost. 2 weeks passed, 14 days of glimpses, no calls, no texts, no contact. I worked nights more often, watched the cameras more than I should. On screen I saw small things. Monique wincing when the nurse pushed over a threshold, her adjusting her scarf with difficulty, sitting alone by the window late at night. Luis caught me watching once. Man, you're gonna get yourself fired twice over. I know. Then stop. I didn't. One night, I thought I saw her hand hover over her phone on the monitor, like she was about to text. But she didn't. I sat in the dark security room, her song playing in my earbuds, and whispered to the empty space. This is what it means to be a ghost in someone's life. 5 days later, on a Friday evening, Tanya walked out of the elevator alone. She looked upset. She approached the desk, glanced around, leaned close. Can we talk? Off the record? We moved to a quiet corner during a lull. Marcus confronted Monique, Tanya said, about the footage, called her pathetic, said she was seeking pity from staff. My hands clenched. It got ugly, Tanya continued. Brought up everything. His travel, her accident, old fights. He made her feel small. Why are you telling me this? Because she pulled away from you to protect herself. Not because she didn't care. She's scared of losing her practice, her reputation, everything. I nodded slowly. Tanya studied me. I misjudged you at first. I thought you might be, I don't know, taking advantage. But I saw the rooftop footage. I stiffened. I was with Mrs. Klein one afternoon. She showed me. And Ethan, you looked worried. Not predatory. Worried. My throat tightened. If you care at all, Tanya said, you have to understand she can't survive another scandal. But... She reached into her bag, pulled out something green and silk, Monique's scarf. She pressed it into my hands. If you still walk past the rooftop at night, you might want to check the far bench around 2 a.m. She left before I could respond. I stood there, the scarf soft between my fingers, feeling like I'd been handed a key to a door I thought was locked forever. That night, after midnight, I finished my tasks. The scarf sat in my pocket like a heartbeat. The wall clock crept toward 2 a.m. At 1:50, I checked the rooftop camera. Empty. Faint city glow. At 1:58, I texted Luis, off duty tonight, a vague excuse about a security check. At 2 a.m. exactly, the camera flickered. Monique's wheelchair moved into frame. Positioned at the far bench. The green scarf tied around the armrest like a flag. No nurse, just her. I logged a quick note, grabbed my keys, took the service elevator up. The rooftop air was cold. City hummed below. I stepped out slowly. She sat in the shadows, phone lighting her face. She looked up. Saw me. Neither of us spoke for a long moment. I walked toward her, hands visible. Careful. You still push people around for money, she said. Or is this just a hobby now? Depends who's asking. A small, tired smile. I stopped a few feet away. Tanya gave me the scarf. I know. Why? Because I'm tired of pretending I don't miss you. The words hit like a fist to the chest. Monique, I know what you're going to say. That it's complicated. That we shouldn't. That the cameras... I was going to say I'm sorry. She blinked. For what? The kiss, the hallway, putting you in that position. She shook her head. I didn't pull away because I didn't want it. I pulled away because I knew what would happen, and it did. Marcus is traveling more permanently now. Her voice was flat. We're separated, sort of. No announcements, just more trips. Fewer nights home. We're in limbo. I knelt down slowly, eye level with her. What do you want? I asked. I don't know. I want to not feel like a patient. I want to not feel watched. I want to talk to you without checking cameras. But I also can't blow up my life, my practice, my sister, everything. So what do we do? She looked at me. Really looked. We set rules, she said. Real ones. No hidden texts. No late-night anything that looks wrong. If we see each other, it's in public areas. Official requests only, like any other resident. And emotionally? Emotionally? She exhaled. I can't lie and say I feel nothing. But I also can't ask you to wait for something I can't give. I reached out, took her hand, just held it. I'm not asking for anything, I said. I just want to be here, however that looks. Her fingers tightened around mine. A cold gust swept through the garden. She shivered. Without thinking, I stood, stepped behind her, untied the scarf from the armrest, and draped it around her shoulders. My fingers brushed her neck. She closed her eyes. We have to be so careful, she whispered. I know. My hands returned to the handles of her chair. For now, I said. This is enough. The next evening, I showed up for night shift, wondering if she'd follow through. Midway through, the building system pinged. Official concierge request. Penthouse. My manager saw it, hesitated, then nodded. Public spaces. Doors open, no extra time. Understood. I rode up. Monique waited in her chair, dressed more formally. Polished. Dr. Ellis, not just Monique. I'd like to go to the rooftop, she said. Of course. We rode the elevator in careful silence. On the rooftop, I positioned her where the cameras could see us clearly. We talked about safe things, weather, building events, Tanya's visit. But under the surface, everything hummed. Over the next 2 weeks, we found a rhythm. She scheduled rooftop rides twice a week, official requests, reasonable hours. Sometimes we had coffee in the lobby when other residents were around. Mrs. Klein saw us once, made a comment. Monique surprised me, shut it down firmly but politely, set a boundary, didn't let gossip take root. My manager watched from a distance one afternoon, saw nothing improper, just professional warmth. One evening, as I wheeled her back to the penthouse, she stopped me a few feet from her door, in full view of the hallway camera. You made this place livable again, she said. The elevator dinged somewhere down the hall. I released the handles. She wheeled herself the last few feet, and I stood there, knowing we'd chosen a kind of in-between. Not together. Not apart. Just here. 2 weeks later, Marcus returned briefly. Overnight bag, curt phone call in the lobby. I saw him on the cameras later. He and Monique barely spoke. Separate rooms. He left the next morning, gave me a long look, said nothing. Tanya called the desk later. Marcus is positioning the separation on his terms, she said. Image control. He cares more about optics than her. I felt anger I had no right to feel. That evening, Monique and I were on the rooftop. She looked exhausted. Some people choose winning over staying, she said quietly. I didn't ask who she meant. 4 nights later, she requested the pool again, just to sit by the water. I got manager approval, wellness request. In the dim pool room, we sat side by side. Her in the chair, me on the bench. The song she'd sent weeks ago played softly on the speakers. I might cut back hours at the practice, she said. Fewer operative days, more consults. You okay with that? I don't know, but it's better than someone forcing me. We talked about futures we weren't sure we'd get. Her practice, my maybe someday school. The chemistry was heavy. Her hand brushed my cheek, reaching for something. We both leaned in, half an inch, then stopped. Cameras. Last time, consequences. We pulled back, laughed, strained. The tension stayed. On the way out, we passed the hallway camera. We don't get to pretend there's no audience, Monique said. So we play the parts we can live with. The elevator doors closed on our reflections. Close, but with space between. The next day, I brought up a delivery. Inside the penthouse, I saw boxes, her work things being packed. Cutting back, she explained. On my terms. We talked about trade-offs, what we'd lost, what we'd chosen to let go before someone took it. I have 3 rules, she said. Things I said I'd never ask of you. What are they? 1. Don't lie for me. 2. Don't choose me over your mother's needs. 3. Don't make me responsible for your happiness. She looked at me. I've wanted to break all 3, but I won't. You need to be free to leave if this gets too heavy. I won't lie, I said. I won't abandon my mom, and I won't pretend I feel nothing, but I also won't pressure you to blow up your life for me. She nodded slowly. Deal. As I wheeled her to the door, she paused, looked back at the apartment. Boxes, medical equipment, the wheelchair path through furniture. "This isn't the life I ordered," she said, "but some parts, I'd order again." She looked at me when she said it, then wheeled herself inside the last few inches. I stood in the hallway, knowing we'd consciously chosen a half-life together. And somehow, it felt like enough. 1 week later, on a quiet evening, near the end of my shift, the penthouse requested a rooftop ride. I went up. Monique waited with the green scarf draped over her legs. We rode to the rooftop, talked about small things, a book she was reading, a show my mom liked at the facility, the new plantings in the garden. The emotional line was quiet, but firm. As we headed back, the scarf slipped. I stopped, tucked it around her knees. Our eyes met. No apology, just understanding. She repeated softly, testing, "You really don't have to push me around forever." I smiled. "I know." The elevator doors opened. I pushed her inside, hands on the handles, the scarf near my wrists. The door started to close, and in that shrinking frame of light, I realized something. Some people spend their whole lives looking for a way out. I just happened to find someone worth staying and pushing for, even if we never called it anything at all. The elevator descended. The lobby waited below. Cameras humming. Mrs. Klein probably watching. But for those few seconds, it was just us. The whir of wheels. The faint scent of jasmine and bergamot. The soft rustle of green silk. And the quiet, unspoken promise that some doors don't close. They just wait for the right person to knock again.